next upcoming smash hit RPG from CD Projekt Red releases tomorrow or the day after, depending on what country you live in. So here's a video to get all you dudes and lady dudes up to speed on what CyberPunk 2077 is, a bit of the story behind it, and what you can expect to see and do in the game. We won't be discussing too much plot stuff, more so the gameplay you'll see, a thorough look into the skill and class system, and the world that is Cyberpunk 2077, keeping spoilers to an absolute minimum here so that when you go into the world of Cyberpunk, you can know what to expect, but not how it will go about it. So first and foremost, let's get into a bit of backstory to Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk started out as a tabletop game similar to Dungeons & Dragons back in 1988 and saw 4 editions come out during its lifetime. It was a pretty sweet game that catered to a whole other budding audience at the time. Cyberpunk as a tabletop game was pretty ambitious, introducing wild concepts from net running, unique classes, mega corporations, and even space exploration. Set and focused around a city simply called Night City, people have evolved to a cybernetic transhuman society with all the good and the bad that can go along with it. From utopian advancements in human-machine interfacing, the ability to exceed human limitations through body modification, and even extending their natural lifespans through these body modifications. And then the other side of the coin of dystopic violence, poverty, famine, predatory hyper-expansion of megacorporations, and techno-shock, leaving people with a sense of loss of self from all of the machinery burrowed in their skin. Honestly, for me, Cyberpunk was always a much more interesting board game than D&D, just for my own interests. But sadly, because all my friends wanted to play D&D, I was stuck RPing the tiefling as opposed to RPing the rocker boy that I truly wanted to be. Now back to Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 was announced in 2012, so it's been in development for likely around somewhere close to 9 years now. The pre-pro started officially in 2016 with about 50 members on the team. By the end of it now, there are around 500 members on the team for Cyberpunk 2077. To say that this is a massive endeavor by CD Projekt Red is a hell of an understatement. It might even shape up to be one of their biggest releases of all time. The backdrop of the story and lore of the Cyberpunk tabletop games will set Cyberpunk as a truly unique experience in RPG video games, with multi-threaded narratives, awesome ways to customize your experience in game, and so many playthroughs. Night City in-game is fully realized with 6 locations inside of it, and a large wasteland surrounding it. Where you start in the game is based off of the life path you choose. A nomad in the wasteland, a street kid from the suburbs, or a rich and luxurious corporate lifestyle. Throughout the game, you'll have absolute tons to do. From side activities like bare-knuckle boxing, to hacking, crafting, and equipping weapons with attachments, and even repairing those weapons along the way, installing various forms of cyberware, leveling and picking perks and attributes, and earning street cred in the world of Night City. Now for the skills and attributes, you have a handful of attributes to your name in-game. Body, intelligence, reflexes, technical, and cool. Body, which will affect everything from health and stamina, reducing bullet spread from guns, and increasing your melee damage. Intelligence dictates hacking efficiency, increasing the memory pool of your character, and reducing the amount of time required to upload programs. Reflexes will help with scoring more crits when fighting, your attack speed, and your evasiveness, which will likely shorten stamina cost for dodging and performing various movement tech throughout the game. The technical ability is all around the tech in the game, from modding your guns and equipment to crafting things. The technical skill will likely dictate what you can and can't craft and what kind of machinery you can interact with in the world. And lastly, cool is kind of like your character's ability to keep cool in certain situations. It will likely be a modifier to certain unique speech requirements and will heavily affect your character's ability to be stealthy if you so choose in your playstyle. Now each of these attributes will dictate how many skills you can unlock and a specific skill in the skill tree. So say with your body, you'll be able to put as many skills as you've put into the attribute in that skill tree. Now, all of these are modifiable in the game, and there's likely going to be a multitude of ways you can modify them, but all of that is yet to be seen until the game actually launches here. Now, on top of that, each of these attributes also plays into a class system that is actually really fluid. So, just because you select a class, like, say for instance, Solo, doesn't mean you can't spec your character to be really good at hacking. The three classes are Solo, Netrunner, and Techie. Which class you pick will be a good guide to how you want to spec your character in the long run. So for Solo, you probably want to up your body and reflexes, then spec into combat skills. Netrunner benefits from intelligence and cool, where you can spec into hacking perks and stealth. And the Techie benefits from intelligence and technical stats, though it's probably a little bit more freeform than the other two classes. Each class comes with their own unique skill though, and this is really what sets them apart and will help you with deciding which class to choose at the beginning of the game. The Solo class's signature ability is Combat Sense, which allows them to highlight potential threats that are around them. The Netrunner class's signature ability is Interface, which allows them to directly interface with all sorts of technology, such as an enemy guard to access a building's security network. And lastly, the Techie class's signature ability is Jury Rig, which helps players in crafting and various tech-related skills. Again, with the class system being fluid, you have a pretty much unlimited way to spec your character in the long run, but keeping your class in mind can make for a more cohesive experience at the start of the game. Want to be a solo assassin stealth one-shotting everything around you? Try to plan your skill spending early on. Or be a techie that builds your own guns to kick ass. You'll probably want to spec into tech and reflexes. Or maybe a Netrunner with a wild katana swing. Spec into intelligence and body, and maybe some reflexes sprinkled in there. The replayability and variety you can have with your character is already really bonkers when you look at it. And on top of that, with a team member from CD Projekt Red apparently clocking 175 hours without even finishing the main story, there's a serious amount of game to be had per playthrough here. But equally, on the other hand, it's been reported that CyberPunk 2077 will have a shorter story than Witcher 3's, which was a pretty intensive story, I'm not gonna lie. So you can expect a ton of side missions, activities, and places to explore at your own interest. But also, if you're looking to just go in and play the story, you could probably bang it out in a pretty reasonable amount of time. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Keanu freaking Reeves, man!
69, dudes!
Keanu stars as Johnny Silverhand, and though I want to avoid as many plot spoilers here as possible, it seems that Johnny will be a very important role to the main character, serving as a bit of a guide throughout the game. Though it's a safe bet with the money that went into hiring the star power of Keanu, he'll likely be a very important character throughout the plot of the game. On top of Keanu Reeves, though, there are a few other big names in the game for you all to look out for along the way. On top of everything else that's part of this incredibly girthy base game experience, there's also plans for DLC after launch. More than The Witcher 3 even, which means there's going to be a lot more adventures in Night City to look forward to after launch. And with this DLC, I'd even say that it's safe to bet that some of the unused classes from the tabletop game will maybe potentially become available to players throughout this DLC. Witcher 3 had a really great balance of